Good morning, everybody. Mr. Risto here. It's Sunday morning, May 7th, and the AP exam is behind us. Congratulations to all of you for getting to this point and to everyone who took the exam this past Thursday. And now it's time to move on, and we've got about less than a month left of the course, right? Just about 2.5, 3 weeks or so. And the reason for the weekly video update this morning is I want to kind of take you through the last summative of the course. And this summative is largely meant to be kind of a grade booster. So it should be fairly straightforward, should be fairly, I don't want to say easy, but it should be kind of fun and a good way to end the course. You're going to be doing a little research. And then ultimately submitting it to a Dropbox once you're finished. And then once you're finished with this end of the semester project, then you will be officially done with the course, all right? Assuming that you have no summatives missing or, well, I guess no other summatives missing for that matter. So anyway, hopefully you can see my screen here. And I'll be taking you through exactly what you're going to be doing and completing before the end of the school year. Okay, so what I've done here is I'm on the home page, and again, mine probably looks a little bit different than yours. I've got visuals and whatnot, but I'm on the home page here in Schoology, and what you're going to want to do is find the folder that's called After the Exam. Phew. Okay, and open that up. And we're going to be working with this folder called the World Bank Development Project. All right. So when you open that up, you'll see the instructions, which is a PDF, and you're going to see a couple of samples. I provided some samples of these Google slide presentations that have been submitted in the past, so you have something to use as an example. So if you can open up, what you want to do is you'll want to open up the PDF for the instructions. And I will just take you through this screen here instead of me opening up the separate PDF and going through all of that. You'll see that this World Bank Development Project, you can read the more details on your own, but it's a culminating activity to this course. And the purpose, and I'm just reading here in the second paragraph, is for you to choose a developing country, identify its development status, pinpoint obstacles to development, brainstorm the country's major assets and areas of potential, and then request funds for a specific development aimed at improving human welfare in that country. So, of course, this is all hypothetical. I'm going to play the role of the World Bank. So if you need to do a little research on the World Bank to see what they do, I would advise you to do that. What you're going to do is pick one of the developing countries here off the chart, or you may choose a developing country of your own. It has to be a developing country, though, not a developed. All right, so, not Germany or the UK or the United States. It has to be a developing country. Proposals are going to range from transportation infrastructure to language schools to fair trade schemes to improve police protection. And below here you can see I provided some sample countries. And like I said, there are some samples there in the Schoology folder from countries that have been chosen in the past. So here's your assignment. You're going to propose then some sort of financial proposal in the way of a loan to the World Bank, which is going to be me, to put toward a specific development project in the developing country that you chose. All right. The background. You're going to assume the role of the finance minister for the country you chose to research. In that role, you'll write a detail. You're not going to necessarily you're not going to necessarily write a detailed report on the government of your country's status. That's going to come through in your presentation. Okay, so you're not going to submit anything necessarily in writing. It's not going to be a research paper, although it could be. One option could be a paper. I'll explain more later. But in your proposal, you're going to continue on here. You're going to want to explain and present in your presentation, your Google Slides, obstacles to development, the existing resources and potential within the country, concluding with a proposal for a specific development project that will improve human welfare in your country. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to play the role of the World Bank. Your assignment is to create a presentation, some sort of product. Most people have chosen a Google slide presentation for the country you selected from the list above. You're not obviously going to present anything in class. We're not going to videotape them and present them to others. You're just going to complete and submit to a Dropbox. All right. So here, the product may take any form that you wish. Like I said, most people in the past have done Google slide presentations. All right. It may be a written report, if you wish. It may take the form of, like I said, a Google presentation, a PowerPoint, whatever you're comfortable with. Some people in the past have created a video using iMovie, for example. You could create a website. I've had a few people in the past create a website, and that would work too, outlining the details of the report. You could create an audio recording, like a podcast, or any other reasonable media. I have found that Google presentation usually works the best, and like I said, it seems to be the most popular. The two sample ones, I think one there was Nigeria and the other one was Jamaica. Those can be found in the folder there where I showed you earlier. Some sources that I provide for you, the World Bank Countries and Regions website, which is worldbank.org. That's a good one. The CIA World Factbook is really good. If you've never used that before, that is very, very good. CIA.gov. The African Development Outlook.org site, along with AFBD.org. So a lot of these countries, you notice, are either from the Caribbean, Sub-Saharan Africa, some Southeast Asian countries are on that list as well. Remember, it needs to be a developing country. So your requirements, your presentation, or whatever product it is you're going to create is going to consist of 4 parts. All right, so part 1, and you'll notice that this is the way the presentations, the sample ones that I give you, you will notice that these are set up this way. So you're expected to follow the outline here, all right? And you want to address the best that you can each bullet point in each part. So part 1 is going to cover the current development status. So here you're going to describe your country's status along the spectrum of economic development. So focus on these factors here: natural factors, human factors, all the way down the line, externalities, income distribution, and sustainability. You don't have to go into great detail about each one. And of course, it's going to vary depending on what country you have. All right. Again, I urge you to use these examples that I've provided to see what those look like. So that's part 1. What is your country's current development status? Part 2, what are the obstacles to your country's development? Okay. From the data presented in part 1, what would you consider to be the key internal factor preventing the further development, economic development of your country? Where I would start is maybe just kind of look up and get a sense of what economic development is, okay, as opposed to economic growth. We talked about economic growth. You worked with economic growth this semester. I would take 5 minutes and just kind of take a look at and look up what economic development is. So what would you consider to be some of the internal issues that are preventing your country from economic development or furthering along their economic development? What would you consider to be some of the external factors that are preventing economic development in your country, for your country? Maybe taking a look at what the poverty cycle is. All right, institutional obstacles like government, taxation, property rights, political instability, corruption. Okay, excuse me. Those would be along the lines of political obstacles, infrastructure. Okay, all of those are kinds of obstacles. International trade obstacles, okay, like exports, protectionism of international trade, and overdependence on certain primary products, all right? So that's part 2. Part 2 is more about what the obstacles are that are preventing your country from further economic development. Part 3, what are the resources you currently have at your disposal? So describe the external and internal advantages that your country has that will enhance the chances for its development. Are they geographical, social, institutional, political, economic, technological? What are those advantages that your country already possesses that makes it a candidate for aid, financial aid from the World Bank? All right. And remember, you're taking the role of the finance minister for your country, and you're trying to convince me, Mr. World Bank, why you're a viable candidate for aid. Okay. Why should you receive foreign aid? And then part 4 is your formal proposal. All right. And this is what your presentation, the last few slides of your presentation is going to look like. Again, I encourage you to look at the examples. So you're going to propose a specific plan to speed development in your country along, improve the welfare of your people. This part is going to be more extensive and should include these items here. All right. What is your project type? Is it infrastructure investment? Is it fair trade? Is it health or education? Is it environmental? Is it a social project of some kind? What are its goals? So this is the who, what, where, when, why, and how that the project will further promote human development in your country. Are there other examples of similar projects that have been done in the past in your country? All right, chances are there have been. And then finally, what is the financial analysis? So here you'll give me a detailed cost of your estimate. Again, you probably have to, estimate this. Nothing is going to be exact. I'm not looking for an exact amount. You're not going to have to itemize things, but just it's going to be something to the extent of, okay, we're going to, create this new educational system in Botswana, and we're asking $50 million US dollars or something like that, right? It's going to be somewhat, ballpark. But you're going to want to base that dollar amount perhaps on other similar projects that have been done to the one that you're proposing. So you kind of get a sense of what you're asking for. Okay. And then if you can, you're going to explain how and when that development loan would be repaid. All right. Here you can largely ignore these weeks except the due date. Okay. These weeks here are largely for people who are in class in my classroom at Minnetonka High School. But the due date is Friday, June 2nd. All right. So that means all of your presentation, no matter what kind of form it takes, Google Slide, iMovie, whatever, that needs to be in the Dropbox no later than Friday, June 2nd. Okay. So that gives you a little under a month to get this done, which is plenty of time to complete this. Okay. So, let me show you. Those are the instructions. So I encourage you to read through those more in detail when you have a moment. And let me go back to the samples, and I'll show you quickly what one of those looks like. Okay. Let me open up I'll open up the Jamaica sample. All right. So hopefully you can all see this clearly, but here's the Jamaica sample. And this was done a number of years ago. Really hasn't changed that much. Now it's going to vary depending on your country. Most people usually start off with some geography, where the country is, some data, right? A lot of this project is going to be data, right? Since we're talking about development economics, a lot of this is data. So they had a lot of images, a lot of pictures, a lot of photos, right? They give us something about the geography here, natural resources. They present some environmental problems, right? They're kind of touching on what the obstacles of development, economic development in Jamaica are. Population data, right? Here's the population pyramid. Here are some human factors that exist in the country, from growth to infant mortality, Freedom House ranking, in terms of civil liberties and political rights. That's another website that you want to incorporate and use, is the Freedom House website. Income distribution, sustainability, education. You notice a lot of data. Health, okay. More human factors, physical, technological. They give us a little bit about the government. What kind of a government does Jamaica have or your country have? Economic factors. All right. And they're just kind of following the instructions that I just read to you a moment ago. Government influencing their economy. Now they're starting to get into the largest economic problems that are hindering development. Crime, corruption, unemployment, a lot of debt in Jamaica. for example. And then they start talking about potential. Remember, part 3 talks about what potential, what resources does your country have. Okay, so they have a lot of natural beauty, and of course, tourism is huge in Jamaica. So their proposal, then, this is part 4. This person was asking for $55 million loan to be repaid over 10 years to invest in the tourism. They outlined what the goals would be to increase tourism, to decrease unemployment, etc., etc. And they provide another example saying that it's worked before, right? They were able to find another program or proposal where they mentioned it on a slide, and then they provided some sort of financial analysis, which is the way, remember, which is the way part 4 ends, what the cost will be, what the rate of return will be, and what the repayment dates will be, how that loan is going to be repaid. And then they provided a slide with their sources. Okay? So that's what it is. You know, that one ended up being about 20 to 25 slides. But again, that's going to vary. There is no set amount of slides that you need. But I encourage you to use those examples. Again, they're in the after the exam folder. They're in the World Bank Development Project folder. Here are the instructions. And here are the examples. There is a Nigeria one there. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Of course, I'm going to continue to check Schoology. The due date for this last summative, remember, is Friday, June 2nd at midnight. All right, I'm not going to accept any World Bank projects after June 2nd. This is the last summative. The only real way you can do poorly on this is if you don't do it. If you do not do it, it will go in the grade book as a 0 out of 100 points, which of course will have an adverse effect on your grade. Now, having said that, once you're done with this, you are done with the course, unless you have other summatives that are missing. And very, very, very few of you do at this point. There are a few of you, I think, that have maybe a Unit 5 or a Unit 6 exam that needs to get in that grade book and completed. But the vast majority of you have all of your summatives done. So that means that once you're done with this summative here and it's in the Dropbox and I've got it scored, then you are officially done with the course. Okay? Due date is June 2nd. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. And hope you guys have a great rest of your Sunday, great rest of your weekend. And we will talk to you soon. I'll still be coming at you with weekly, daily videos, maybe even one during the week to make sure everybody is on track. And we will talk to you soon. All right. Bye for now.